Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's story is an older story but one I haven't seen before, from In Need of Advice 1211, titled My Boyfriend 21 Male Proposed to Me and I 21 Female Said No. I'm worried he'll want to break up. Last Friday night, my boyfriend invited me over to dinner with a bunch of his family members. We've been together since August 2012. We went to a nice restaurant and everything was going fine until he started giving a speech on how much he loved me, wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, etc. Before I knew it, he was on one knee asking me to marry him. I told him more than once that I never ever want to get married. I don't want to be someone's wife and I don't want a husband. Anyway, after he proposed, I was in shock for a couple of seconds. I didn't say anything for a while, and I didn't mean to, but I laughed and straight up said no. I laugh in awkward situations, so it made it even weirder. Soon as I said no, his face dropped. He left the restaurant for a few minutes. His mother followed him out, while I sat there awkwardly with his family. Thankfully, none of them asked me why I didn't say yes. When he came back inside, we finished an extremely awkward dinner. My boyfriend and I lived together, so after we paid, we drove back home. Soon as we got home, we got into a fight. He yelled at me and said that I embarrassed him in front of his family and called me selfish. I reminded him, I said I never want to get married, but he said he thought it'd be different with him. He's at his parents' house and has been since Saturday morning. I tried calling, but he's ignoring me. I spoke to his brother this morning and he said my boyfriend was considering a breakup and that I should get ready to move out. His whole family pretty much hates me now. What can I do to convince him not to break up? We've been so happy for so many years and I don't want to lose him over this. We can be together without being married. Now you stated in the start of your post that you've told him more than once that you never ever want to get married and you don't want to be someone's wife and you don't want a husband. So to me, if he was still dead set on getting married one day, this should have been a conversation, certainly not a proposal in front of the whole family like that. It should have been more of a private conversation that one day I would really like to get married. What's your thoughts on it? Do you think you would ever change your mind? And if not, do we go down the compatibility route? You know, if one of you wants to get married, one of you don't, there's just no future in it, I don't think. If one of you wants to get married, the other one doesn't, and the one who does want to get married can't see a future with someone else without marriage, then that's just a compatibility issue, isn't it? Sure, there's lots of couples who don't want to get married, and that's absolutely fine, but if one wants one thing, one wants the other, there's going to be resentment down the line, and usually there's not many ways past that. But it just felt like an absolute silly move, you know, on behalf of OP's boyfriend, that OP doesn't want to get married and you go and do that in front of your whole family. But in the comments, Evereth says, well, in the short term, he wasn't thinking clearly. You've made your intentions very clear of not getting married. He assumed that those stated intentions didn't matter. Unfortunately for him, he has only himself to blame. This is also a pretty good illustration of why I think public proposals really risk being crappy for everyone. Good for you for not feeling pressured into saying yes, then having to walk it back later. Unfortunately, the bigger problem is that the two of you want different things. Clearly, it's important to him to get married, and you don't feel the same. I understand you love him and want to be together, but the fact may be not being able to get married for him may be a deal breaker. The only way to stay together is if one of you is willing to reconsider your position. If you aren't and he isn't, then the relationship may be over. OP replied and said, what you said has been on my mind the last few days. That we want different things and one of us is going to have to reconsider our positions. It just sucks so bad. I can't imagine ever getting married or being without him. Now Darkimus replies to that says, first off, he embarrassed himself. That's not on you. But I agree with the above poster. It's been several years and sooner or later it was going to come up. It's a fundamental incompatibility that you need to address even if this proposal never happened. That said, in quotes, I can't imagine ever getting married or being without him. He goes on to say, if you want to be with him for life, can you explain what is exactly about marriage that you are opposed to? Because it sounds like you want a life partner from him. Shelf Life Inc. says in quotes, "I never ever want to get married and I don't want to be someone's wife and I don't want a husband," and then says evidently marriage is important to him. There is no middle ground. He wants to get married, you never want to be married. If you were willing to be married to him in the future, there's a chance you two could patch it up and continue your relationship together. But as he sees it, he's been with you for 3 years, he wants to put a ring on it. You don't want that. He can't blame you for embarrassing him in front of his family. That was all his fault. It was stupid for him to think that you'd change your mind, or that he could force you to change your mind by ambushing you with a proposal in front of his family. But unfortunately, this relationship is over. He wants marriage, you don't. That's the end of that. Starpoo says, "Unfortunately, the both of you clearly want different things. He wants to get married and you don't." Honestly, yes, him proposing to you in front of an audience was uncalled for and not the best course of action. If anything, knowing your stance on not wanting marriage, this is something that should have definitely been done in private / talked over with you. But the fact of the matter is, don't be surprised if he wants to break up with you. He has every right to feel that not getting married is a deal breaker, just like you feel that marriage isn't necessary and isn't something you want. And pretty much the comments continued down that path about incompatibility and, it being a bad move to propose in front of the family as well. But OP did come with an update, and it says, "Thank you to everyone for the advice you gave me. I really appreciate it and I'm super thankful. I got a few messages asking for an update, so I thought I'd give one now. Over the weekend I attended a wedding. It was a fun night and I'm really happy for the couple, but the entire time I couldn't imagine myself in that position. Getting married is just something I refuse to do. I decided that I had to end things with my boyfriend. We'll call him Shane, since I know marriage is something he really wants. It's important to him, so I'm not going to stop him taking that step in life, but it won't be with me. Shane came home this morning. When he came inside, he hugged me and kissed me on the cheek. I told him we had to talk and he agreed. Shane went first and said they knew proposing to me was going to be a big surprise and he didn't know what answer to expect. But he said I should have at least said yes in front of his family so I wouldn't embarrass him. He's still mad I rejected his proposal. Shane said the whole time we spent apart, his family said I wasn't good enough for him and that I humiliated him, but he only agreed with the second part. I told him about how we've discussed marriage plenty of times and my answer has always been the same. Shane said again how he thought I'd change my stance on marriage for him and then said he'd wait until we're older to get married. I said no, that's not what I want. I don't want to get married ever. It's not an age thing, it's just not what I want. Why don't you get that? Shane started yelling at me and said my family was right about me. I told him we want two very, very different things. Marriage is important to him, but it will never be to me. I said I'm more than willing to be his life partner, but not his wife, and that since we want different things, we should break up. I want him to get his happy ending. He kept asking why I'm being so stupid and stubborn, that it's just marriage and I should just get over it. I said I'm an adult and can make my own decisions and marriage is not what I want. Shane stayed in our bedroom for a while and I stayed in the lounge room. I think he was on the phone to someone, I'm assuming his brother. When he came back out, he said he'd give me an ultimatum. Either we stay together and get married in at least a few years. He wants to start a family soon, which is a whole other issue for me, or we just break up. I said we should just break up, that we can both get what we want, since I know Shane will eventually find someone to settle down with. He just said fine, whatever, and went back into our bedroom for a few minutes before he left. When he gets back, I'm going to discuss living arrangements. I think it's best if I just leave. Edit. No, I'm not telling you why I'm against marriage. Please stop asking. And after that update, I completely agree. Well, I sort of agreed in the first post that, this is going to be a deal breaker. There's going to be resentment down the line. And boyfriend in this one given an ultimatum on marriage. How's that ever going to end well? Actually, they did get married on an ultimatum. Holy moly. I think we'd have been seeing another update further down the line if that was the case, but I'm afraid that was the end of that one. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next post comes from a deleted user titled, "Am I the a-hole for not wanting my sons to always come second after my daughter? I, 32 male, and my wife, 33 female, have 3 kids. Our twin sons, 10, and our girl, 8. Normally all of them are sweet, obedient and nice. I consider myself lucky with them. But since a few months I have noticed that my sons are doing everything according to the wishes of my daughter. She wants to play mini golf instead of going to the cinema. They say yes. She wants to play tea time with them instead of soccer. They love soccer and they say yes. Not doing sports but sitting in their sister's room to drink tea. They literally treat her like their princess and always putting her wishes over theirs. And they get nothing in return. My daughter is acting like an entitled brat and never asks her brothers what they want to do or play. When I talked to my wife with this, she just said how cute the twins were for adoring their sister so much and that it's good and healthy for them to being around her all the time. Her presence is civilizing them. She really said this, as if my sons were savages without their sister. She told me to not intervene in their relationship, so I let it go. Yesterday we went Saturday shopping and I allowed each of the kids to buy something nice for them. My daughter picked a pair of very expensive brand rain boots. I told her that she can have something like that for her birthday, and then she started to cry. And what happened? Her knight showed up and said that they would buy nothing so she could have the boots. My wife, of course, said, "Oh, how sweet of you." This was the moment I exploded and said nobody is getting anything and we're going home. When we arrived, my wife called me an a-hole who is trying to turn his own children against each other. I told her that she is a hypocrite. If the roles were reversed, she'd be furious, but since it's the girl who was getting her way, it was okay. We haven't really talked since. Am I the a-hole for standing up for my sons and revealing my wife's favoritism and hypocrisy? Edit. Information. To be clear, I never told my sons to stop being nice to their sister. I was careful when talking to them. Even when I asked about their mum's role in all this, I never told them to stop playing with her, and I did not really explain yesterday's punishment. So there were some comments asking questions on this post trying to give additional information as well, so Opie replied, and one commenter said, "Have you talked to your sons? Asked them why they indulged their sister?" Opie replied saying, "Yes, I've talked with them several times. They said that their sister feels sad when they're not playing with her. Playing with her, of course, means playing whatever she wants and never what they want, and that they like spending time with her and making her a part of them. I directly asked them if their mother has her fingers in this and instructed them to act this way. They say she didn't, but I can feel something is going on behind my back." Another commenter says, "You're the a-hole and seem to have some misogynistic beliefs that are clouding your judgment. They're being nice big brothers to the baby of the family. Stop making this a gender issue." Opie responds and says, "I wonder what kind of comment you would have written if I had two twin girls who are doing everything for their little brother. I would have bet that it would have been a different one." The original comment replied to that and says, "You would be wrong. The whole tone of your post is weirdly sexist though. You should reflect on that." Opie replies again saying, "I am sexist. What about the mother who thinks her own sons need to be around their sister all the time to act civilized?" A different commenter replies and says, "Bro, stop watching the bald guy with a Bugatti or another person's videos and see this for what it is. Siblings being siblings. Is she coercing them, bullying them, forcing them, or are they just being protective of her? People call me old-fashioned. This new wave of what if the roles were reversed is making me cringe. If the roles were reversed, it'd be two sisters adoring their handsome brother. Let your boys love their sister. What the hell is wrong with you?" And then, of course, OP does update the post a couple of times with small paragraphs and says, "I have called my wife from work and apologized for my behavior. She was happy about my call and forgave me. I went to the stores after work to buy the boots for my daughter and a nice big Lego set for the twins, which they can build up with their baby sister. I will tell my boys that it was and is noble to them to think so much about their sister and that I'm proud of them for including her so perfectly and being gentlemen around her. I will not do anything to change the dynamic of their relationship, and I feel like an a-hole and an idiot for considering it in the first place. I love my daughter, but my comments were written poorly, so I understand the accusations of sexism." Final update. My wife and I had a very good chat with our daughter. We encouraged her to take her brother's needs also into consideration when planning their activities and return their generosity and care. She was very understanding. We made clear that we love to see them together and that nothing at this point has to change. My wife and I agreed to silently monitor the situation. Last point, I will do dad/daughter weekend next month and wife will do mum/son weekend. Thanks to everyone for expressing your opinion. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account who asks, am I the a-hole for paying for my bio daughter's wedding, but not my stepdaughter's because of how she acts and treats me? For context, I, 56 male, have been married to my wife Lisa, 57 female, for 25 years. We have a daughter together, April, 24 female, and Lisa has a daughter Carly, 33 female, with her ex-husband Doug, 60-ish male. Lisa had divorced Doug when Carly was only 6 or 7 because he had addiction problems and refused to seek treatment for it, and essentially couldn't hold down a job or help provide for their family. I met Lisa soon after, and we got married and had full custody of Carly, so they both moved into my house at the time. I've always seen Carly as my own daughter, and always wished to be an additional male figure in her life after her own father. But she always saw me as the man who replaced her dad and took them away from him. As someone who came from divorced parents myself, I completely understand why she felt this way and respected that she wanted space and boundaries from me, so I never pushed anything beyond just a friendship between us and never forced a father/daughter relationship. With this, I always tried my best to show up to her school events with her mum, paid for college, included her in all family gatherings, etc. But once Lisa and I had our first child, April, Carly was extremely resentful of April and thought April was here just to replace her the way I replaced her dad in her family. She would often bully April when they were kids, and we had to put them both in therapy to finally work things out. Now they're both adults and have their own lives, but Carly continues to take digs at April whenever she has the chance, compares herself to April, talks down to her, etc. And now this is getting to their weddings. April got married last year, and I paid for the whole thing as she is my daughter. Carly recently got engaged, and I offered to help pay for the wedding, which she gladly accepted, and the planning was seemingly going well until she showed her mum the guest list and April and I were nowhere to be found. Carly said she didn't feel close enough with April and I to include her in her big day, which I respect and understand, but she's not close enough to me to invite me to her wedding, yet she's okay enough with me wanting to fund the entire event. This is when I told her I won't be paying for it anymore, and it's become a huge issue that I'm treating her like she isn't my daughter, showing favoritism to April. It's not fair, etc. I've done nothing but try to build a relationship with her for 25 years, but she clearly doesn't want one except when I'm financially benefiting her. I didn't mind this when she was a kid because it was my responsibility to provide for her, but I'm just sick of this now that she's older. Am I the a-hole for paying for April's wedding, but not Carly's? Now, to me, the way this story reads is that you've tried everything for this 25 years to be a part of her life, paying for her growing up and trying to be involved in her life events. And she just clearly doesn't see you as a father to her, so it just why would you pay for the wedding? Of course, it's incredibly sad that this has happened to a family in this way, but if someone resented me, didn't want me to be a part of their life, etc., etc., why would I be paying anything for them? It just doesn't make much sense. But we'll start in the comments with Humanity is Bizarre, who says, tell her you didn't want to replace her dad, so didn't feel right taking his responsibility of paying for the wedding. Prudent Border says, not the a-hole, she doesn't have a relationship with you. Not enough of one to invite you to the wedding. Yeah, that's a no. She can fund it herself. I have to wonder what the wife thinks of this. Opie responds and says, my wife is extremely upset about the situation, but she doesn't want to take sides at the risk of losing her own relationship with Carly. Disney Addict says, not the a-hole, don't give in and pay. You're just an ATM to Carly. She doesn't have any respect for you. I can't believe the nerve of her to expect you to foot the bill, yet you don't get invited. Yes, she doesn't have a relationship with you or April, but that doesn't mean you should be taken advantage of. Let her know that you understand you two don't have a relationship because she never wanted one, and you completely respect that. However, that goes for your money too. The petty person in me would tell her to go and ask her own father for money for her wedding. Edit. Adding a question. Where is your wife in all this? Does she approve of Carly's behavior? Is she pressuring you to pay? Opie responds again and says, my wife is just really upset. Not with just the wedding, but the way Carly has rejected me over the years, and that has gotten to this point. She wants Carly to invite April and then have me pay if I get invited. But I think the damage has been done by now to even reconsider helping. And Specialist Point replies to that and says, yes, at this point, OP, even if Carly invited you in April, you would know she truly doesn't want you there and is only doing it for your money. Do yourself a favor and book a vacation or fun outing for the day of Carly's wedding for you and April to have father-daughter time, and tell your wife either way, if you're invited or not, you will not be spending a dime towards Carly's wedding. I'd even go further and say any future financial request from Carly will be treated like someone who you aren't close with, asking you for money. I hope you're just not out there giving money to acquaintances, lol. Not close enough for a wedding invite? Then you're definitely not close enough to be her personal ATM whenever she or her mother feels like it. And your wife is kind of an a-hole here for even letting you pay for anything for Carly. She's been treating you and a half-sister like this way since April was born. Not the a-hole. And I gotta agree, like if I found myself in that situation, trying to put myself in their shoes, if they suddenly turned around and said, oh no, you can come to the wedding now, it wouldn't feel genuine at all. But let me know your thoughts on this one. Maybe you got a different opinion on the matter. Would always love to hear it if you have a moment of your time to share it, of course. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world. So thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.